Imagine a world where our children are living to the age of 150, 170.
When your organ fails, you don't go on a transplant list. New tissue is provided for you on the spot.
Really smart artificial intelligence. You have a tiny little robot assistant.
You could design your car in the morning, sitting in your living room, and manufacture it for delivery the next day.
We are at this place that we've never been before. The Great Rewrite is about a fundamental resetting of this planet's operating system. A way to look at all of the bits and pieces that are evolving and changing on the planet, technology, behavior, capital markets, that are creating this perfect storm where you're going to see incredible upheaval at every stress point on the planet. At every kind of traditional institutional touch point that we had, it's bleeding. The next 2 years are going to see that to continue to happen, and out of those ashes will come new paradigms, new models. Technology is the base foundation of this rewrite, where this world in which we've built was built on a paradigm of this sort of top-down pyramid. So you've got a CEO, you've got a principal, you've got a prime minister or a president, and you tend to flow power from the top down. We are living in this state of sort of societal seasickness where this pyramid is slowly inverting because of technology. To think about what a rewriter is, you have to distinguish it between innovation and disruption. Innovation felt like we had outgrown it. And innovation today really just means doing stuff better. If you're a company in 2016, 2017 that has an innovation department, you are missing the point. It's the job of everybody in that organization. Disruption is somebody comes into a market, bottom of the pyramid, and they eat their way up the food chain. A rewrite has something much more impactful on the tail end of it. It is about systemic change, demonstrated by a ripple effect that whatever they do in the industry that they're rewriting, it has deep impact on other industries that was often unintended. What that's enabling is an era of common sense, an era where entrepreneurs can look at the world and say, this doesn't make sense, it doesn't need to be this way anymore, and we can do it differently. If you start looking at holographic entertainment, you see how very quickly a big chunk of the live entertainment business, the revenues will come from performers that are no longer living. And that has deep impact on the entertainment business itself, because I can write a song for Michael Jackson even if he's no longer living and have Michael Jackson perform it. We could not do this rewrite, we could not engage in the rewrite in these sectors without the technological change. Organovo is at the base unit of the beginning of building and growing body parts. These folks have the keys to the rewriting of the human body.
Organovo does 3D bioprinting. We're talking about taking living cells and putting them into a structure with a bioprinter that ends up creating a living tissue.
Up until this technology existed, there was simply no way to take human cells and make a three-dimensional tissue that had architecture that mimicked the native tissue.
We're using them to be better than animal models in drug discovery. Instead of relying on clinical trials, you're using human tissues prior to the clinical trial to understand how a drug performs.
It's rewriting the rules of toxicology testing. Imagine a world where the drugs that we take every day are safe and don't surprise us with toxic side effects.
We're also rewriting the way that surgeons can think about approaching patients. We need a rewrite to actually treat patients who are in dire need of organ transplants.
There are only transplant organs for 10% or less of the people out there who could really benefit from them, and create long-lasting alternatives to whole organ transplant. That's really the end game.
If Organovo does its job well, they have deep impact on the operating system of the rest of the planet.
We're Maju Metal. We are a manufacturer of advanced nano-laminated alloys. I'm the co-founder. I come from a family of nuclear scientists. I'm actually fourth generation in the nuclear industry. We manufacture metal in a very different way. We actually don't use heat. We're actually using electricity, and the metals we produce are not like conventional metals. They are layered metals. We're rewriting the future of metals by virtue of the way we're designing and architecting materials.
They are an example of a company that's rewriting across multiple sectors. They are deeply impacting manufacturing. That is a clear example of a rewrite.
Essentially what we're doing here is we're growing metal in plastic tanks. It's a very similar process, in fact, to the way Mother Nature grows rings on trees. When you cross-section a tree, you see rings. In our case, we're modulating an electric field to produce the same kind of layered structure, except it's a metal layer. We can produce a material that's stronger than conventional steel. We can produce a material that's harder than conventional hard chrome. We can produce materials that can withstand high temperatures and not corrode. Really, I can't imagine any industry that isn't going to be impacted by nanolaminated alloys in the future.
What the world will look like in 10 years from now will be 10x different than it is today. My hope for this world we live in is that we are going to enter a stage where the things that make the most sense to the largest number of people and do the most good become the easiest to execute. And that, to me, is what the rewrite is all about.